When Star Wars first launched, there were comics and like Marvel did comics. There was like the Splinter of the Mind's Eye, which I covered book they did in between the movies, but no one was really thinking about like continuity. It was just George's movies and whatever extra they did for like money. It didn't really start until Timothy Zahn released the Heir to the Empire book, or the first of the Thrawn trilogy, which was the first book to like really tackle what happened after the movies. And it was super successful. And suddenly the publishers were like, hey, we can make money off of these. And they started really pushing more books, more comics. The early authors, they didn't have to follow each other. I remember one interview with Kevin J. Anderson. He was one of the early authors. He was told that there was this Dark Empire trilogy comic, but he doesn't really have to pay attention to that. And he was like, no, like we should pay attention. Him and the other early authors kind of got together and said, let's make everything make sense. Let's make sure it all takes place linear and we can follow each other. Maybe I write a story and you have a character that would work. I can continue it in my story, or I left a thread here that you can continue on. They kind of worked together on that, and they wanted to make sure that everything fit together in like a nice little timeline.
From my recollection of how this all works, isn't there like a master Star Wars of like information too that like they have to reference to in order to understand that they're within timeline?
Yes. So that came a little bit later. So the authors were doing this themselves, and then eventually Lucas, like publishing or whatever, they hired this guy Leland Chee. I hope I'm pronouncing his name right.
Yes, I remember him. I've seen him.
He was in charge of creating a database of all Star Wars stories, characters, like events that they can use to reference. It was called the Holocron. He was called the keeper of the Holocron.